Thank you very much, Eva, and thanks for the Committee for Justice for actually having us here. It's always good to have space to talk about accountability in Sudan, because when we talk about the conflict, it's always the politics that wins when it comes to the conversation. I just want to start with an anecdote, running the risk of repetition. In 1956, few weeks after the Sudan independence, there was a very famous massacre, for Sudanese at least, which is known as Amber Gyoda. This happened in the White Nile State. And it was a massacre that farmers were in a strike and then attacked the police station, and then many of them, hundreds of them, were put into a kind of a house, and then they died out of suffocation. We know that as Sudanese that this incident happened. Many of us don't know why there was no accountability for it. And there was a very interesting article called The Black Hole of Kosti, which is where the incident happened. And it explains very much that at that time, the US and the world and the UN coming to Sudan to negotiate giving loans to the Sudanese, the newly Sudanese formed government. And so the government decided not to make this incident public. And the donors decided not to engage with the situation. Accountability and impunity in Sudan has been so much connected to the political conveniency of Western governments and donors who are like, it's fine, let's just focus on the peace component. And this is literally what has been happening, and what literally had connected us to what's happening in the conflict in Sudan at the moment. There is no chance for Sudan to reach peace without actually addressing the accountability question. Another anecdote to bring, and maybe sometimes I also mentioned it here, is after the violent attacks on the protesters in June 3rd, 2019, I was interviewing few people who witnessed the attack, who is led by the Rapid Support Forces, but also was allowed by the Sudanese Armed Forces. And it was an interesting thing this person said. He said, if we had accountability for that event in 1956, maybe we will have a chance to have a better Sudan. If we had an opportunity in 2013, I was one of the people who were arrested and attacked in September 2013 protests. If we had accountability for this, 2018 wouldn't happen. If we had accountability for 2018, 2019 wouldn't happen. So it is the cycle what we're having at the moment of impunity that we're seeing now. What organizations like us, like Human Rights Watch, is doing is basically making sure that we want to make noise, that governments, including the Sudan government, the Rapid Support Forces, armed groups, other actors in this council, they don't feel it very comfortable to say we don't know. And this is actually the point we really appreciate about the fact-finding mission in two ways. One is the framing of the report that this is the war of atrocities, and this is very important. People will always talk about the two-side aspect. We're not equalizing them. This is not the point. But we can talk about, and this is my last point here, the double victimization. And I can just give a few examples very quickly. Sexual violence. Sexual violence mostly perpetrated by the Rapid Support Forces. Absolutely. However, at the same time, survivors of sexual violence cannot get access to aid because the Sudanese government blocking aid. So this is where they're victimized. People who provide community kitchens, because the UN is missing in actions, and we can talk about it. It's not because the Sudanese government only blocking them. They don't want to even push back. The community kitchen volunteers, the emergency rooms, also get targeted because of being accused of being collaborators. There is no due process in Sudan. The justice system is absolutely failing to provide justice to people in Sudan. And the importance is that we have the UN, the fact-finding mission, and other UN agencies to be like, we are investigating independently. We hope the Sudanese authorities to say, we need help. We need help. We need to have access to capacity building. We need to have access to do this, not to push back on the possibility of accountability. And this is the point that if you continue to endorse impunity in Sudan, The only thing we're seeing at the moment is just going to be more and more violations. Thank you.